In the early 13th century, a terrifying truth echoed across the medieval world. If the Mongol army arrived at your gates, you were already dead. They were an unstoppable storm, born from the frozen, brutal steppes of Asia. An army that did not know how to retreat, an army that did not know how to surrender. While European knights weighed themselves down with heavy steel armor, desperately trying to survive, the Mongol warrior rode into battle with little more than leather and silk. They did not rely on iron to protect them, because they possessed a psychological weapon far deadlier than any blade: absolute, unyielding fearlessness. To their enemies, the Mongols were not human. They were demons sent from the underworld to punish mankind. But how did Genghis Khan transform ordinary nomads into men who welcomed death on the battlefield? The answer lies inside a dark psychological code, a ruthless law of blood, and a terrifying cosmic mandate. Welcome back to Dark Empire. To understand why a Mongol soldier never feared death, you must first understand their god. The Mongols did not worship idols made of stone or gold. They worshipped Tengri, the eternal blue sky. In their belief system, Tengri was the absolute ruler of the universe, and every man's destiny was written in the stars long before his birth. This absolute fatalism altered their minds. The Mongols believed that the exact second, location, and method of their death was predetermined. If Tengri decreed that you would die today, no wall of stone or suit of steel could save you. But if Tengri decreed that you would live, 1,000 arrows could not pierce your flesh. This belief turned them into psychological ghosts on the battlefield. While their enemies fought desperately to survive, the Mongols fought only to fulfill their destiny. They did not fear dying, because to them, death was not a tragedy. It was simply the unalterable will of the eternal sky. But faith was only half of the equation. The other half was enforced by iron and blood. Genghis Khan united the warring tribes under a strict, unyielding code of law known as the Yassa. Inside the Yassa, individuality did not exist. There was only the unit, and the unit was bound by a terrifying law of collective punishment. The Mongol army was divided into decimal units called arbans, consisting of 10 men. The law of the Yassa was simple, yet absolute. If a single soldier ran away from the enemy in battle, all 10 men in his unit were executed immediately. If an entire unit of 10 retreated without orders, the entire regiment of 100 was put to the sword. Genghis Khan created a psychological reality where facing the enemy's swords was the easy choice. To fear death meant bringing absolute shame, execution, and annihilation to your brothers, your cousins, and your entire family. The Yassa erased cowardice from the Mongol DNA. To understand their lack of fear, one must also understand the environment that raised them. The Mongolian steppe is one of the most hostile places on Earth. Temperatures dropped below -40 degrees in the winter. Food was scarce, and rival tribes fought constantly for survival. From the age of 3, Mongol children were tied to horses. By age 5, they were masters of the composite bow. They were raised on a diet of horse milk and raw meat, sometimes drinking the blood of their own horses, to survive weeks in the wilderness. They did not know comfort. They did not know luxury. When European or Persian armies marched to war, they were leaving behind comfortable homes, farms, and cities. They had something to lose. But the Mongol soldier had nothing to lose. They were already living in hell. To them, the battlefield was not a place of horror. It was just another day of survival. Because the Mongols did not fear death, they were able to weaponize fear itself. They utilized tactics that required absolute, suicidal discipline. They would perform mock retreats, fleeing for days, leading massive enemy armies into deadly, prearranged ambushes. An army that fears death will break its lines when panicked. But the Mongols never panicked. They operated like a flawless, cold-blooded machine. Their total lack of fear allowed them to commit atrocities so severe that entire empires surrendered without fighting a single battle. They did not just defeat their enemies, they broke their spirits.